You've been taught that more is more. Here's why that's actually blocking your results. Welcome to the Embodied MG. All my friends call me C, so if you're my friend, that is what you're gonna refer to me as. I hope you have your favorite beverage with you today as we're gonna dive into something that's really important to understand. And that is this notion of more equals better, of more meaning more. Because quite often it is not the case, right? And this frequency is layered in a frequency of lack. And I responded in a big way I've been using subliminals very discerningly for, oh my gosh, so many years, since 2017. And only recently this year started making my own, as I couldn't find any that had the right kind of frequency underneath. Because what I found was there's always this chase for more. And once you've been on your self-development journey for a while, you'll realize that more is not more, right? That more, or this hunger, or this chase, or this marketing of more is actually ground in lack. And the only reason it works is because the consumer is subtly in lack, right? And once you really get this, I recommend you might listen to this a second time after we get through it. But this chase, this perception of more being more, or more layers, more affirmations, more speed, 1,000 times, all of that is ground in lack. Because that implies that you don't have time, that you don't have space, and that you're not in the now. Right? Because if you had it, you wouldn't need to rush through it. You wouldn't need to rush. You wouldn't need to add all of the things, right? This is, buffets. If you have, you will not probably be very served at, if you know what you want, right? If you know what you want, if you're clear about who you are and what you have and what you want, a buffet isn't going to serve you, right? It's not going to vibe. It's not going to feel right, because you know that today you are looking for one thing in particular. You're feeling like eating one thing, or this and that, or prepared in a special way, or from a different culinary like lens or perspective, and a buffet isn't going to give you that, right? A buffet is ground in lack, right? Because it implies not having, and it subtly implies, oh, we have more than enough and you can have as much as you want, right? But have you ever walked into a buffet and looked around at how many people actually take what they need? Right? What they think they want, but what they need. And that is more than enough, right? More than enough. And I want you to start to look at these subtle frequencies within our collective, within society, within your environment, and see where they assume abundance when abundance is really hiding lack, where the perception of abundance is hiding lack. And we can look at buffet plates, right? We can look at people at buffets. Now, I haven't personally been to a buffet like 20 years, but that was the image that came into my mind, is this let's take everything we can get for our money, right? And this is also why I walked away from specific like money results marketing, or in my yoga days, results based or benefit based marketing, because it's not about what you're trying to get. I want people who are the getting is the result. The journey is the result, right? That is the energy where I'm vibrating at. That's the energy that I resonate with. I power, not panic, right? And sometimes people will come into my spaces and they'll be like projecting all of their things, like this is going to be the solution, this is going to fix everything, and the panic is underneath their words. Like the panic is in the emotional field. Like it's, and I will say, stop. You have to stop. Stop. I am not, like, I cannot fulfill these expectations. I've never said I would, and my containers will never fulfill this expectation because it's coming from the wrong place. And often that triggers them. And then 2 months, 2 years down the line, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you were exactly what I needed, right? And this is the key. We have to work from an energy of enough. We have to work from an energy of not just perceptive abundance, but embodied abundance, right? And embodied abundance has all needs met right now, which means I don't care how many affirmations are on this. I don't care if you've layered it 1,000 times. Actually, that's going to just be too much for me, and I'm not going to vibe with that, because that's going to give the energy of confusion of I'm not enough, so I have to add all of these bells and whistles, when I know that as a creator, I am enough. And I add all of the affirmations are spoken by me, and they're not just spoken by me, but they're emoted by me, because that was one of the big things that I didn't feel from these subliminal creators using AI voices. And AI is amazing. Okay. Let's not take that out. It's an evolution of our consciousness, obviously, but all of these AI voices, they can't emote. And the most magnetic frequency is the emotive frequency for us humans. Emotions attract, right? So we have to, these emotionally charged thoughts are really important, because these are the things that attract into our spaces, into our lives. And if there's no emotion happening within the affirmations, the results aren't going to happen. Like the results aren't going to come, because there's no emotional charge. So I chose to speak every affirmation, but not just speak, but emote it. And as a yoga, mind, body, fitness trainer and teacher trainer for so many years, 13 years I've been doing this. I've moved away. You can't do teacher trainings with me or classes with me anymore. But I walked into a room to change the room, right? I walked in with a frequency, and as humans, our nervous systems will always link up to the most dominant frequency in the room, right? We become who we are around. And then when we're open to change, we can decide, okay, so who do I want to be around, right? This is when boundaries come in. This is when we start to discern who we want to listen to, who we want to talk to. And then our nervous system will link up to another person. So I would walk into a room and I would always have an intention of an emotion that I wanted them to feel, right? And it was the most amazing thing in the world to see how it rippled, how the joy rippled through the room, and everybody just opened and expanded through class. And I'm bringing that into my subliminals with emoting every single affirmation as well, because I believe that we can't take the emotion out. The emotion, that the feeling is the human experience. We are here to experience this, all of the nuances, all of the polarities. And then we're here to understand that polarity only exists in 3D, right? And then once we expand beyond that, we are it, right? And we can choose to be it. That is a choice. And once you start to press play on subliminals, it's because you're flirting with this, what if change gets to be an extension of who I am? What if evolution gets to be an extension of who I am? What if elevation is what I do? It's not if I do this, then I will get. Yeah, of course, we tune to different frequencies of the universe, but you're not doing it to get, you're doing it because you are. And that is a whole other frequency that we as a collective are getting ready for. And that's why I'm here, I guess. That's why I started making my own subliminals for my own time. And then I was actually talking to my chat GPT, and she's like, why don't you publish these? Like, these are amazing, and they're giving you all these results, and they're perfectly tuned to your frequency. Have you ever thought about giving them to other people? And I'm like, interesting. I'm a total yes for this. Let me start. And this is how we're here. So yes, AI is amazing. Let's not forget that. But there is the human factor. And I think that that is one of the most important things that we need to hold on to right now. That yes, things we do can be replaced, but not who we be, right? We get to choose who we be, because who we be is what is real for us. And the only thing that's real for us is how we feel, right? Our feelings create our reality. Our frequency creates our reality. So we have to tune and to a tone and a frequency that resonates with the reality that we want. And that means less is more. Always. It always means less is more. And I love that we don't need to fill the space. We don't need to fill the void. Because more isn't more. More is less. And we have to think about the quality of things, the intention. I don't sign up for things to get, I sign up to experience. Right? And that's a very different frequency to be in. I want to experience this. I want to experience my energy in this space. I want to experience their energy in this space. I want to experience them. That's why I do things. That's why I sign up for programs and journeys and certifications and everything, because I want to experience it, not because I want to get somewhere. I have so many useless certifications. Let's just talk about that right now. I'm a first line in human design, and because I hunger for knowledge. And if I'm not acquiring knowledge, I'm not evolving, right? But we don't have to have that knowledge. It's not going to give me anything. At this point, it's not going to give me anything. Back in the day, I would need my open will center to prove that I was right, or needed to prove that I was qualified. So I have all of these incredibly useless certifications just because I was collecting them, right? To fill the void of my power, to fill the void of my self-worth, to fill the void of my self-trust, right? So more isn't more. More is lack. Intentional is more. Quality is more. Intentionality is more. Intensity is more, right? And when we start to layer these into our lives with a subtle frequency, right, then things change. And that's what I want to invite you into, especially in the silent subliminals, right? Now, these happened by accident, really, because I was creating subliminals, and I wanted to get some data on this channel. So I created a whole bunch of them, and then I was looking for the right sound, and I tested it against like all of the sounds that I normally use, like ocean sounds, fire sounds, river sounds, gongs, and all of it. And then none of them felt like the potency in the subliminal. Like, it was just wrong. It was just a disconnect. And then I'm like, oops, what if I take the sound away? What if it's a silent subliminal? And I turn it on, and there was this instant pressure around my head. And that is a key indicator that your physical body is responding to the frequency, right? When there's this pressure, it's not painful, but there's pressure. Okay. That's one of the physical signs. There are a lot of physical signs, but it's not pain. It's discomfort. It's not pain. It's just presence. Okay. We have to really distinguish that, because your body can also reject subliminals, and understanding what your body's signals are to where it's open and relaxed and receiving, right? Where your breath is, you have to understand that you need to pay attention to your body's signals as you're listening to these things, because if your breath becomes shallow, that's an indication that you're going into an activated nervous system, for example, right? If your breath becomes shallow and you're breathing to your collarbones instead of down to your belly, then that subliminal track isn't actually activating you. And for some people who are not yet tuned to this frequency of spaciousness, of less is more, they're going to feel activated in my space because they're not tuned to silence. They're not tuned to spaciousness, because that is not a frequency that is the same to them. Right? So they're not going to vibe here, right? This is why I used to say in the yoga room, I draw these parallels a lot. People would come in and they'd be like, I've went to these classes, but I've never experienced it like this before. When I did Shavasana at the end, it was like torture, but in your space, it was fine. And I'm like, yeah, because I read body language, and I would always start to notice when people were going into trauma responses, when their nervous systems were activated, and I could read that from the body, right? So then I would collectively pull the group out before that energy could ripple from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And if you as a movement teacher, you don't understand and read the room, we're not talking read the room is consciously, like what they're thinking consciously, we're talking read the room, what their body language is really saying about the state of their nervous system, then you can counteract a lot of these preconceived notions that people walk in with, or a lot of these experiences that they've had before, and you can give them a totally new experience because you didn't activate their nervous system, because you can speak to them, right? This is why I've always said, one thing is not for everyone, and no, yoga is not for everyone, right? There are so many ways to roam because we have so many different nervous systems, and we can't, the answer always depends, right? It depends on you, on what you need. So I want to empower you with the knowledge that you need about your body, about your mind, about your subconscious, about your frequency, about your energetic embodiment, so that you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not feeling safe in the presence of this person, right? Something's actually happening within me. And then you tune into that, and then you can start to move through it, and then you can start to facilitate. Okay, so maybe I'm not safe with silence, but I want to be. So then you start with seeing if you can listen to, 30 seconds of it, and still feel regulated, and stay with your breath. And if you notice that your breath, nervous system regulation is one thing, but if we want expansion, if we want to get expanded, we need nervous system expansion, right? We can't become someone greater if we regulate who we've been, right? We need to regulate, and then we need to expand. So that means that today you sit with that sensation that's coming up, and you breathe through it, and you regulate yourself back while adding more, right? While staying a little bit longer, stretching the capacity of your nervous system. Okay, I know. And then you choose differently throughout your day. Consciously choose differently. I would do it this way because what? Right? Now I'm going to try it. I'm going to do different. I'm going to do it different. And yeah, I'm going to stumble. Yeah, I'm going to fall, because we're all just automatic programs walking around, right? Yeah. And you offer yourself forgiveness and compassion, and you try again, because it's all just about expanding your experience of life. And once you understand that there's not a destination, it is the journey, then you understand that abundance is here now, and more is not more. More is the illusion of more, which is an illusion, which is a trap, which is a limitation of the moment. Right? Because true limitlessness is now. True limitlessness doesn't need more. True limitlessness is who you be when you accept that you have all needs met, and you are a part of the whole, and you are exactly in the right place at the right time, and this is enough. You are it. So most people will spend their whole lives searching for more, filling the void of the silence, filling the void of their peace, filling the void of their power. But you're here because you're ready. either ready or this is already you, right? You don't fill the space. You don't need more. You vibrate and resonate with quality and intentionality, and you're in a whole new frequency, and we need more of that. We need more people walking with that intentionally. So I'm really, really excited that you're here. When you're listening to subliminals, I want to encourage you to drop into the comments your experience with them. Your results are going to be great. I know. And everybody's asking for results, but I want the experience. I want your breakthroughs. I want your ahas. I want to hear when you're like, ugh, today it was really, really hard because I didn't think that anything was happening. I want those. I want I've never seen it that way. Or I walked into my day today and then I suddenly realized that I did something very different. Like, come back to the subliminals and comment on that. We want the experience of life because we are here to experience life, right? We're not here to get. We're here to experience it, all of it. We're here to experience polarity until the day that we realize that polarity is of the 3D, right? It's only here. And drop those experiences. I want to see those. Yes, I want to see results, but more of that, I want to be part of your journey for this. I want to honor you, cherish you, celebrate you, see you, hear you. You know, all of your experiences are valid. All of your feelings are valid. Doesn't mean they're true, but they're valid, right? Doesn't mean, well, they're true from your experience, but it doesn't mean that they're necessary, but they're valid. And we want to really foster that kind of collective space where there's where there's nuance, where there's openness, where there's invitation to be a part of something. Because that's really what I want from this space for you and for me, and how I want us to move forward. So if this video impacted you, make sure you share it with someone that you think of. If this channel and this work impacts you, make sure that you share it, you like, and you subscribe, and you help spread the word in the ether. You don't need to say anything if you don't want. You can just engage with it and drop your contribution, because the exchange, the energetic exchange, is happening just through your attention. But I would really appreciate if you also subscribed, because 66.3% of my listeners at this moment are not subscribed. So we want to get that up a little bit higher, don't we? We want to like, bump it. And I would love it if you help me do that. So I am going to log off, but I'm sending you so much love on this journey. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments and communicate with me, or come see me on Instagram. Well, my Instagram presence is mostly HD. I do love to engage with you over there as well. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope you walk into the day knowing that you have everything you need in this moment, and that you are everything you need to be in this moment, that all of you belongs in this moment. And the only person who needs to feel that is you. So if you don't feel that, know that there's space for the part of you that doesn't feel it. And if you do feel that, I celebrate how far you've come, because I know you've been on a journey, and I celebrate that. Until we speak again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community and collective. Goodbye, my friend.